Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be 10 books that you should add to your summer TBR. It's that time of the year, we're in June now, and it's time to start accumulating some books that you can read over summer, some cutesy, fun, quick, fast-paced books that, you know, you can bring on holiday with you, or you can just read in the garden with like an ice cold drink. Literally such a vibe. It is June, obviously. However, if you're living in the UK right now, then you know that the weather, the weather is shocking. Like, genuinely, why is the weather this bad? Honestly, this is probably the worst summer ever. I'm looking outside right now. It's grey skies. It's constant drizzle, like, all day, pretty much every day. And we're getting, like, 10 minutes of sun a day, honestly, if we're lucky. Yeah, it's not a vibe, but I'm hoping that like I can read some summer romances and some summer books and just live through the books. Like, I'm hoping I can just read these fun summery books to kind of escape the grey, drizzly UK summer right now. I personally think that summer books, they don't have to be the best books that you're ever going to read. They don't have to be like literary masterpieces. As long as they are fast, cute, have a happy ending, in my opinion, then they're just perfect. Trying to bring the summer vibes. And if you have any recommendations, please let me know, because I really want to be adding some summer books to my TBR, and I think I'm going to do like a separate video of all the books that are definitely high up on my radar for summer. Let's get into the video. Let's talk about the 10 books that I think that you should read this summer. The first book that I'm going to recommend is Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. So this book to me screams summer. I don't know what it is, but the vibes that I got from this book were just like summery. I think it's because tennis is usually like in summer, right? I think. This is a book that you can seriously just sit and binge. And just like I didn't want to put it down. I was so invested in Carrie's story. It was insane. I'm not a tennis player. I've never played tennis in my life. Like, no, I've never been interested in tennis, but I picked this up on a whim and I became obsessed. I was like, wait, maybe I'm gonna become a tennis player. I didn't, but in that time, I was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna like pick up tennis. It was crazy how much it made me like feel not only invested in Carrie's story, but invested in tennis as well. It was literally such a fun time, and this was honestly 5 stars for me. So this basically follows Carrie, and she recently retired from being like the world's best female tennis player. But then she is watching a tennis match and she's watching her records be taken, or be nearly taken, by like the up and coming tennis players, and she's like, wait a minute, like, no, I'm not okay with this happening. I do not want my records to be taken. And she's like, I'm gonna train myself up again, and I'm gonna get back out there, and I'm gonna get back my records. I'm gonna show everyone who is the best female tennis player in the world, and that is me. So you basically follow her journey to getting back to the top of the tennis game, and it kind of starts off where she's just getting back into training and all of that kind of thing, and then each section, I love books that are sectioned out. You kind of get like different parts to the book, which I just think is so fun, and it tells you like the year that you're in, and you really just follow her story as it goes along. You get so much depth and so much insight into Carrie's journey. So empowering, and it was just giving girl boss energy, and I just think that it would be perfect to binge on the beach. The next book rec is for all of my cowboy romance, small town lovers, and I'm not going to recommend Chestnut Springs purely for the fact that I feel like it gets so much love. I am personally like a mega fan of Chestnut Springs. I love it so much, and I was making it my goal to find a series that is just as good. because I feel like Chestnut Springs rightfully gets so much hype that I just felt like it was time to explore some different small town cowboy romances, you know, and just find some new ones. So I found the Wells Ranch series, and my god, am I glad that I did, because it's so good. It's definitely maybe even on like a Chestnut Springs level. I loved it so much. So the first book, the one I'm going to recommend to you, is Alive and Wells by Bailey Hannah. It's a new kind of series. The second one just came out, but the first one, it's just giving summer. So this story basically follows Cecily, who is like a city girl. She's born and raised in the city. She's like, no, I need to get out of the city. Like, I'm in a really bad situation here and I've had enough. I'm leaving now, because she is in a horrible, like, abusive marriage, and she just finally leaves. So she has been actually messaging an older woman online, kind of in like a group chat for people in that situation, and this older woman is like, listen, you can come down to my farm and I'll give you a room, I'll give you a job, and I'll give you an escape from the life that you are living. So obviously she's like, okay, I'm just gonna do it, I'm gonna go for it. So when she gets to this ranch that the lady lives on, it's actually a big working ranch, and the leader, he's called Austin. Basically they meet, ... I mean, you know, I guess you can gather where this story goes. But it was just so nice. The writing style is, love it. And I just think, if you're looking for a small town romance and you've read Chestnut Springs already, definitely give the Wells Ranch series a try, because it was really good. The next book I'm going to recommend is The Storied Life of A.J. Fikry. This is by Gabrielle Zevin, the author of Tomorrow, Tomorrow and Tomorrow. So that's a very popular one, and I feel like this one doesn't get talked about as much, but I actually preferred it. This is such a cute and wholesome literary fiction. This basically follows a bookseller or a bookshop owner, AJ, and he is a pretty grumpy guy. He's known for being like a little bit just not really the nicest of fellas. Why have I just said fellas? What? I've never said that word. He is not the nicest, and he's just very grumpy. He hates his life. He's just not having a great time. And then one day there's a 2-year-old girl named Maya, and she actually is just left on his doorstep of the bookshop, and he's like, whoa, what do I do? So he ends up just keeping her and becoming her like legal guardian, and becoming almost like her father in a way, and he raises her like she is his daughter. And it's really sweet, because you see him go from this grumpy old man, and you just get his whole life story, and it's so fast paced. You honestly span like, I think like 20 or more years in this short book, so it's constantly changing, constantly moving, and the way that she writes people is very real. I will say it felt like a very real story. The next book I'm going to talk about is Ariadne by Jennifer Saint. This is for all of you Greek mythology lovers, Greek mythology girlies, because this is a Greek mythology book. I'd never read Greek mythology before. I just picked it up because the cover was pretty, and I loved it. I just think this is such a it's just such a gorgeous story. The way that Jennifer Saint writes is so beautiful and lyrical, and the way that she describes things is really scenic and pretty. So definitely, if you're like on a beach, I mean, the vibes, you know. This actually follows Ariadne. She is the female main character, and she is the sister of the Minotaur. Like, she lives in that palace with that like Minotaur beast thing in the labyrinth. She lives in that palace. She's King Minos's, I don't know how to pronounce the names, but she is his daughter. She lives in that palace, and it's basically a story about betrayal, about female empowerment. It focuses a lot around feminism, and it's a Greek mythology retelling, but told from, naturally you don't really get that in the original stories. So this, Jennifer Saint writes the story from Ariadne's point of view, and you just get to see how these men's decisions affect the women of these myths. I just think that's so interesting to see when you don't always get that in the originals. Okay, so back to romance. The next book is Good Girl Complex by Elle Kennedy. She is the writer of the famous Off Campus series, which I haven't read, but I would really like to, because I really enjoyed her writing style in this. I know that this doesn't get a lot of love. I feel like it's very mixed opinions on whether people like this one or not, but I picked it up and I had a really fun time. I was actually in a reading slump before I picked this one up, and I just thought, I've had this for ages, I might as well just pick it up and see what it's about, and I found myself really enjoying it. I just think it was a fun, silly romance, and there was not a lot of brain power involved to read this, and I think that is perfect for a summer read. This follows Mackenzie, and she is like a rich girl. She's just started college in this town of Avalon Bay. She's not really got the best relationship with her parents, and she doesn't really want to be at college. She wants to just work on her own business. So she's just kind of slugging along at college, and then she meets Cooper. And Cooper is kind of like the town bad boy, and he just lives in the town. He's a local. He works there, his friendship group is there, and they just kind of meet and start this romance. However, it's very, I don't want to like spoil anything, but it's, if you know the After plot by Anna Todd, it's given that. It's given that. And it was just, I mean, it was predictable, it was fun, it was a great time. And also, it's set in a beach town. It's set in a small beach town, which, hello. Could we get any more perfect for summer? Like, this is, even the cover, it's giving summer. Next, we have another Taylor Jenkins Reid book, and that is One True Loves. I think this is perfect for summer, and the plot, let me just tell you the plot, because when I first found out about this book, I was like, what? I have to read. So this follows our female main character, and she has been married to her high school sweetheart, Jessie, for a few years. I mean, they've been, like I said, high school sweethearts. They love each other. They got married. They're having the best time. You know, they love their life. And then one day he is flying the helicopter, because I think he's a helicopter pilot or whatever, and he's flying that, and then the helicopter goes missing. And everyone is like, wait, so this helicopter has gone missing? And she's like, oh my gosh, this is my husband. What do I do? And everyone just assumes that he's dead. I mean, a few years go by and nothing kind of comes of it, so naturally everyone does just assume that he is dead. Basically, she just decides, I'm gonna move on with my life, I'm gonna get a new job, I'm just gonna move on with my life and try rebuild myself again. And then she meets Sam, which is the other male main character in this book. She meets Sam, and they really hit it off, and they start having like this great life together. I'm pretty sure that they move in, they start building this amazing relationship, and it's just such a gorgeous love story. And then one day she gets a phone call, and Jessie has been found. His plane has been found, his helicopter, whatever, and he's alive. Who is she going to choose? So that basically this story follows the female main character and these two male characters, and who is she going to choose? So it's like a love triangle. You kind of don't know who to root for. I mean, both of these male main characters have done nothing wrong. There's not one bad person, you know what I mean? It's just a very awkward bad situation. So you're following her, and who is she going to choose? And I was very invested because obviously I wanted to know. So it is perfect for the summer. And I also think that it's such a cozy, kind of shortish book, so you can just like read really quickly and binge it. And the whole setting was quite summery to me, from what I can remember. The next book is a very cute short story short book that you can find on Kindle Unlimited, and it is called Picking Peaches by Ansley B. Calloway, I believe. I mean, first of all, the cover. A moment for the cover. The cover is giving summer, and it's just a silly, cute romance story. I mean, there's not a lot to the plot. It is basically following our female main character who has just moved house. She's moved into this house, and her next door neighbour is this gorgeous single dad. Hello. And they actually met in the grocery store the day before and kind of like had like an argument, and then turns out that he is her next door neighbour. So I think to make up for it or whatever, he gets all of his teammates, because I think he plays football, he gets them all to help her move in, and from there they kind of just develop a relationship. Her and his daughter get along really well, and it's just the most cute, wholesome story ever. I was literally reading it and I was like, you know, you're just reading a story and you're just giggling, like that is perfect for summer. And the whole vibe of it is giving summer. I mean, how many times can I say that? But I don't know how to get it across other than that literal sentence. The next one is for all of you horror lovers out there. This is My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. I read this in a day. I binged it. I couldn't put it down. Look how nice this book is as well. I mean, like, I just love books like this. Like, why are all books not like this? This is a kind of 80s themed horror slasher vibe. It's given the 80s slasher films like Scream and Halloween and all that kind of thing. It's definitely giving that vibe. The aesthetic, I was getting very Stranger Things. I mean, the story is pretty self-explanatory. It follows two best friends, and one day they decide to have a sleepover. They actually go like diving off the pier or whatever, like the dock, and then one of them just goes missing and they can't find her, and they're like, what? So they look for her all night, and eventually she shows up, and after that night she is very different. It's giving Jennifer's Body, if you know you know. And basically, yeah, the friend is just completely different. She's not very nice anymore. She is just, her appearance is off, her thoughts are off, everything is off about her. So we follow Abby, and it's kind of her journey to like figure out what on earth has happened to her best friend. There's quite a few like comedic elements to it. It's a bit gory in places. It's very fast paced, and it's just a bit silly. I mean, these kind of horrors are my favourite, honestly. Like, the 80s slasher vibe that we've got going on, it's not actually that scary, but the vibes are all there. The next book, the second to last book, is Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. This is literally giving like peak summer. It's literally set in a summer house on like a dock, like on like a lake or whatever. You know what I mean? You know the vibe of what I'm talking about right now. So this follows two people, Percy, who actually moved with her family to this like beach house, like her family bought it, and they go there every summer, and next door to them is Sam's family, and he also goes there every summer. So every summer they meet up, and they basically, from kind of like young children to teens, they form a really great friendship, and they just have like such a cute summery platonic friendship, you know, until they develop that friendship into more of a relationship kind of romance thing, and then something happens and Percy never goes back. She starts her life in the city, she lives in the city, she has a job there, trying to move on from everything, and she just doesn't want to think about it until she gets a phone call that she has to go back for a funeral. So she goes back to this like beachy town for the funeral, where obviously she comes across Sam, and it's been many years, so it's very strange for them, and you just kind of follow it from there. The story as well is very cute, wholesome, fast paced, and you kind of just like get to see two people who were once very just young friends. It's very wholesome, sweet, and how they grow as adults into this more like real relationship. And the last book today that I'm going to talk about is The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams. She is the author of When in Rome, Practice Makes Perfect, the new book that's just come out, The Rule Book. She usually writes closed door romances, so if you're not a spice lover, if you don't like that, then she is the romance author for you. And all of her books are very cute, wholesome, just like sweet. You know what I mean? If I was to describe Sarah Adams' books, it would be sweet. Cheat Sheet follows two best friends. They've been best friends for years. One is a girl, one is a boy, so it's female, male, best friends. Yeah, but we can overlook it. So one of them is a professional football player, and one of them is a ballet dancer. She has her own kind of like ballet school. She teaches dance teacher. That's the word I was looking for. They have both been best friends for ages. I mean, he is like a rich, famous football player, and she's kind of more struggling in her dance studio, so it just kind of follows them falling in love. And it is really sweet because obviously they've both loved each other all of their friendship, all of their lives. Like secretly they've been, you know, having these feelings for each other, but they just thought, no, I won't tell her, I won't tell him because he doesn't feel the same way. And it's just one of those stories where you know that they both love each other, they know that they love each other, but the other person doesn't, if you know what I mean, like until the end. And you kind of just sat there thinking like, oh, you guys are so sweet, just tell each other. And you like read and you're like, just tell each other. So they are all of my book recommendations for summer. Those are 10 books that you should add to your TBR if you're interested, because there's some great books here and they're all perfect for fun in the sun. I think there's some for everyone here. And I can't wait to start reading some more summery reads. So if you have any kind of recs similar to any of these books, please let me know because I would love to add them to my TBR. So that brings us to the end. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really, really appreciate it. And like, comment, share, subscribe, you know, all of that fun stuff. It really, really helps me out. So thank you for watching and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye guys.